Olá Brasil, olá você aí de casa! Hoje temos entrevista de O Farol, né, o The Lighthouse, que é um filme que está super bombando e vai estrear no Brasil agora em janeiro, então a gente teve a oportunidade de fazer a entrevista, mas antes queria contar pra vocês um pouquinho do filme. O filme conta o dia a dia de dois caras que trabalham num farol em 1890. E aí tem um cara que é o mais velho, que ele já sabe de tudo e tal, ele é interpretado pelo Willem Dafoe, e tem o cara mais jovem, que é interpretado pelo Robert Pattinson, que está muito bem no filme, e ele é um novato, e ele tem que ficar obedecendo tudo que o velho manda e tal, só que o velho é muito esquisito, esse tiozinho aí. E aí, o começo do filme é muito assim, contemplativo, quase meio documental, assim, parece que vai ser aquele filme que não acontece nada, só que aos poucos o filme vai... Eu senti muito isso, que o filme vai sendo construído bem aos poucos, quando você vê, você já tá assim, quê? O que tá acontecendo? O final do filme é muito bom. O filme é em preto e branco e é num formato mais quadrado, assim. Inclusive, nessa entrevista que a gente conversou com o diretor, o Robert Eggers, ele conta por que ele fez essas escolhas de formato, né, e de ser preto e branco. E ele, talvez você conheça pelo filme A Bruxa, que também é um filme de suspense, assim. Esse aqui eu não sei se é um filme de terror, ele é mais um suspense que vai virando uma coisa mais psicológica, assim. Então eu recomendo muito que vocês assistam ao filme. E agora fiquem com a entrevista que a Carolina Romano fez, porque eu estava viajando, então a Carol foi lá e me representou. Então espero que vocês gostem. Um beijo. Tchau.
Hi Robert.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You have a theater background. And in the Lighthouse there are some theatric scenes. Is that on purpose? Why did you make that choice?
It's not that I wanted the movie to feel like a play, but I, coming from theater, I know the power of a long dialogue scene or the power of a long monologue.
You talked about the dialogues. I thought it was really strong. What was your inspiration to write them?
My brother and I were he wrote the script with me, we were trying to find a lost dialect from our region in New England, and finally the most valuable resource was the work of Sarah Orne Jewett. She was a writer from the state of Maine who was writing in this period, and she would interview sea captains and sailors and farmers and then write her stories in dialect phonetically. And then even better than that, my wife found someone who wrote their thesis on dialect in Sarah Orne Jewett and provided rules. So that's how we did their Willem's sailor jargon and Rob's slightly more inland kind of farmer lumberjack dialect. But the faux Shakespearean, faux Miltonian stuff, I can just kind of do that.
Could you talk a little about your cinematography choices, like the format, the black and white?
Yeah, I think there's no way to convey their bleak and austere lifestyle in color. It's just not going to work. Jaron, the DP, and I are fans of early photography and both of us, but particularly me, early cinema and early sound films. And we would have wanted to have shot on orthochromatic film stock, which no longer exists for motion picture. And basically, it is not sensitive to red light, so everything that's red becomes black. So the rosy hues in Caucasian skin tone renders darker, and you see every pore and blood vessel. So when you watch Eisenstein movies where there's no makeup, all those Russians look like much more darker than they really were, whereas in other Hollywood movies they're using white pancake makeup to compensate for the orthochromatic look. But we did shoot on black and white film stock, 35 millimeter, which it has a dramatic contrast. It has a toothy grain. And we shot on lenses from the 1930s. We used the lens as early as 1905, and then our aspect ratio is better for shooting vertical objects like a lighthouse tower, and for conveying cramped claustrophobic interiors, and for shooting close-ups of two of the greatest faces ever.
And the movie relies a lot on the actors.
Of course.
How was your process of working with Robert and Willem Did they improvise? Did you guys rehearse? How was that?
There's no improvisation in my movies. I mean, you can't improvise the dialogue because they would have had to have done all the research that me and my brother would have done, and then somehow needed to do even more work to be able to, I can't speak like that. I can write like that, but it takes me a moment, right?
Makes
so
sense.
you can't improvise. But because the camera work was very planned, and specific, we had a rehearsal period so that the actors could learn their blocking before we went to camera. But it was a joy to work with them. I mean, they're two incredible actors, and they're up for a challenge, and ready to be assaulted by weather and each other and seagulls. So it's good.
What inspired you to choose this one as your next movie?
I wrote a whole lot of things, but this was the only thing that anyone wanted to give me money for.
Fair enough. And what about the weather situation? How do you use this to help to embrace the movie?
I mean, without the terrible weather that we faced in Nova Scotia, you have no story. You're doing a movie about a lighthouse, you're going to have a storm. Right? So it was not easy, and you're out on a rock in the ocean where you can never get dry. You're cold, and you're moving slowly, and the camera's breaking down, but you have no other option but to keep going.
And what did you learn in the process of making this movie?
Bad luck to kill a seabird.
Yes.